All right, so welcome to part 2 of the dark room. In this one, we're going to be talking about printing, and the last one we talked about actually how to develop your film. And I'm just going to turn your attention over here to this binder. So in this binder, I'm going to show you a couple of the different types of printing. So this is a final print. This is like what you would actually, sell or frame or give to someone. This is what's called the contact print. And then here is the archival negatives. You can see right here, right? This is the negatives in the little holders that I asked you guys to put them in. And they're also labeled at the top here of what is actually on this sheet. So a contact print, I'm just going to pull this out. A contact print is a type of print made where you take your negative film and you basically make it positive. So you make it visible and it's easy to look at and tell which of these photos you actually want to print. Okay, so some people call this a contact print or a contact sheet. So this would be, okay, I'm looking at this, all right, this is the best one of these, so that's the one I'll print. And because I kept them in the same order over here, I could say, okay, I know it's that negative without having to revisit it, or look at it under a magnifying glass like you've seen on movies and stuff like that. So today I'm going to show you how to make a contact print, but there's a couple of safety things we need to talk about first. So first off, definitely make sure the center area is clear because this is the part of the dark room where you're actually in the dark. And then secondly, if you want to come over here, you're going to turn on both light switches, so both go up, and you're going to leave them on for a little bit. You probably want to give it about 5 minutes to warm up before you turn off the big lights. So that's the big light, and whenever you turn that off, you're going to leave the secondary switch, which is the orange lights, on. Now this is also important. Whenever you leave the dark room, make sure you turn all of that off. Okay, the bulbs are super expensive, they burn out really fast, so make sure that you're actually turning these off whenever you leave the dark room, and follow the sign, leave both of these doors open. So before I start, I'm going to make sure I seal both of these doors. So I seal this one, I seal this one, turn these lights on, and then over here, I'm also going to be turning on these lights that are by the sink. So same thing, both of these lights go on, stay on for 5 minutes, and then they'll warm up. You can tell if they're warm by looking up here and actually seeing that that one's nice and bright and yellow. Okay, so before we turn off the lights, I'm going to show you most of the steps in the light, and then I'll turn off the lights and I'll show you them again. So the first thing we want to do is get our trays ready. And if you look down here, there's a ton of trays. All right, we got trays of all different sizes and shapes. You're primarily going to be using this set of trays right here, these smaller 8x10 trays. So I like the ones that have these holes in the bottom, or they have raised bumps in the bottom. I would not use, there's like this one right here that has a flat surface. These are a huge pain to work with, and it'll make sense why a little bit later. So you need 3 trays. So I'm going to pull this one out, I'll pull this one out, and I'll pull this one out. Just like how we pulled out our big containers of chemicals for developing our negatives, we're going to be kind of doing the same thing, but with the trays instead of the graduated cylinders. So I got my 3 trays, and I have 3 chemicals I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using this, which is Polymax T paper developer. So this is the developer for the paper. I'm going to be using the Codifix fixer for paper, which is the exact same as the fixture you've used before, just more diluted. And I'm going to be using Stop Bath, same one that you use for negatives, okay? So I'm going to fill up the trays in this order. I'm going to take my first tray, and that's going to get filled with developer, all right? So I'm just going to fill it. And what I really want to do is fill it past the initial kind of ridges. You can also put this into a graduated cylinder and then pour it if you like. But see, I have enough to cover the bottom of my tray, but I'm not pouring like half a gallon in this thing. Okay, so that's my developer. And I'm actually just going to take it and put it straight into the sink. So it comes over here, set it in the sink. So that's my developer, okay? The second chemical I'm going to be getting is Stop Bath. So it's the same order that you used with your negatives, right? You did developer, Stop Bath, fixer, same thing. So developer, Stop Bath. With the Stop Bath, I would fill a little bit like that, just a little bit, and then I would fill the rest of it with water. So I don't need a ton. but I would just dilute the stop bath a little bit. So that's enough. Just enough to, again, same amount as my developer to cover the bottom. Okay. And then my last one is going to be my fixer, and I don't want to dilute the fixer at all. So I'm going to come over here, get my fixer, same thing. I'm just filling it up enough. And again, if you feel more comfortable getting a container and filling that and then pouring it into this, that's fine. All right, so I want to get enough to cover the bottom. Okay, that's good. All right. Now, if you're doing a ton of prints, which you will be a little bit later this semester, you definitely want to have probably more chemicals than this, but this is enough chemistry to at least get started. All right, we're going to pause here and move on to the next part of the segment.